When a zombie epidemic hits Korea, 8 famous people join forces on a journey to survive and leave the country safely. Today we're going to recap the first season of the Zombieverse series, from 2023. A group of celebrities are in Seoul to record a reality TV show. The aim of the program is to form new couples after a quick compatibility test. However, one of the participants doesn't look very well. Her face is pale and she can barely communicate with the guy sitting right in front of her. During the recordings, the woman grabs her suitor and everyone believes she is trying to kiss him. In reality, however, the young woman bites him and rips a chunk out of his neck. When he realizes the attack, the entire film crew becomes desperate and flees along with the other participants in the reality show. On leaving the recording studio, the group discovers that the area is surrounded by zombies and their mission is to escape safely. As they descend the stairs, they see dozens of people having their bodies destroyed and turning into the undead. Na Rae is a stand-up comedian who recently had knee surgery. So Din, a Korean rapper, stays behind to help her escape. After a terrifying escape and seeing several of their colleagues eaten alive, some of the survivors manage to escape and get into a minivan belonging to the show's producers. While cruising the streets of Seoul, the celebrities discover that there is no safe place, as zombies have spread throughout the city. During the journey, the driver informs them that they will have to stop to fill up, as the vehicle's tank is almost empty. When he arrives at the gas station, everything seems quiet and there is no sign of a threat nearby. So the driver decides to get out of the car to fill up and takes the key so that the passengers don't run off without him. After selecting the type of fuel he wants, the man is about to insert his credit card when a zombie attendant appears and attacks him. Immediately, the survivors lock the doors of the minivan and new monsters appear. The creatures start walking around the vehicle looking for new victims, and then the group realizes that the zombies can't see very well. So, as long as they remain still and silent, they won't attack them. The problem is that the vehicle is still out of fuel and, to make matters worse, the car key is in the driver's pocket. So Young-chul goes out to make random noises and distract the zombies while Din tries to refuel. After throwing some fuel cans away, the TV presenter returns to the car and Din almost gets eaten, but manages to get into the vehicle in time. Now, the next objective is to retrieve the key and, to do so, Tsuki, who is a singer in a Japanese K-pop band, and Si-young, an actress and former boxer, need to get out of the van. They are trying to distract the zombies so that their colleagues can get the key, but they are chased by a creature that is faster than all the others. Quickly, the pair have to hide in a phone booth and Young-chul runs to attract the attention of the zombies while Din and Na Rae go to retrieve the key. After getting quite a fright, the rapper manages to accomplish his mission and they both return to the car. Just then, all the other celebrities run back to the vehicle and Na Rae is surprised by a zombie that tries to devour her as she gets into the minivan. With Suki's help, the comedian manages to save herself and Din starts the vehicle, saving the lives of all his companions. A few minutes later, the group is surprised by a monster that invades the road and ends up in an accident. After hitting his head on the windshield, the sound director collapses and the other survivors run into the supermarket, so Si-young carries Na Rae on her back to make sure she doesn't get eaten. When they arrive at the new location, they believe they are safe and another survivor guides the celebrities to a hiding place. After being examined by Dr. Kwachu, the group is given permission to join the others. Since the attack began, countless people have hidden in that office and haven't had the courage to try to leave. Luckily, they are trapped in an environment full of groceries and split up into pairs to get food. The first to leave are 2 physical education students, who sneak through the corridors while being watched by security cameras. After gathering a large amount of supplies in a cardboard box, the young people try to carry it back to the office, but end up dropping all the items on the floor. At that moment, some zombies are attracted by the noise and the young men end up being devoured. After witnessing this terrifying scene, Mr. Young and some of the supermarket employees decide to take the risk of leaving the place and are also attacked. The next pair to leave is Dex, an ex-soldier, and Young-chul. Before leaving the room, they tie some protectors to their arms to prevent infection if they are bitten. Their main objective is to pick up some bags to carry their food and they walk low, trying not to be seen. Even so, Young-chul's presence is detected and he has to hide. Meanwhile, Dex manages to get hold of some bottles of water and takes the packs to his friends. He then returns to help Young-chul, who has just picked up some bags from the shelf. During the escape, the pair meet again and the soldier helps his partner find an escape route. When the two manage to return safely, the group discusses a new strategy and Jonathan is the next to go outside. The young man and his sister are famous YouTubers in Korea and Na-rae is chosen to be their duo. As her knee is injured, she has to be protected by a cage made from shopping trolleys, which is pushed by Jonathan. The problem is that there are several obstacles preventing the trolley from passing through the corridors and Jonathan ends up being surrounded by zombies. At that moment, he abandons his double and flees through the store, knocking down all the monsters in his path, until he returns to the office. Meanwhile, Na-rae is trapped outside with monsters who are on the prowl to devour her. Determined to save her, Si-young and Dindin go after her while Kwachu grabs as much food as he can from the shelves. At that moment, the baseball player, Hee-kwan, is running through the store with a can in his hands to attract the zombies and ends up being surrounded by them. After fighting off several enemies on his own, the man is unable to save himself and becomes yet another victim of the undead. After losing yet another companion, the group realizes that they can no longer stay in that place and plan to escape as soon as possible. They then use an alternative exit to escape, but soon discover that the place is also infested with monsters and need to use the carts to build a shield. After a terrifying battle against the zombies, the team manages to reach the exit and arrives at the parking lot. Now they need to find a vehicle to escape before the enemies roaming the area catch up with them. So the group takes all the keys they can find and goes out to test them on the vehicles. That way, they can find out which cars can be used to escape. While trying to outrun the zombies, Hong-chul climbs into a vehicle, but the noise attracts the zombies and he is surrounded. At this point, Dindin and Si-young take the opportunity to test the keys. The young man manages to open one of the cars, but discovers that there's a zombie inside and he has to run away. Soon after, Dex finds a new vehicle that his friends can use to escape, but the battery seems to be faulty. Seeing Hong-chul surrounded by the undead, Jonathan decides to help him and acts as a decoy to throw off the creatures. So everyone manages to get back to the shelter safely, except for Si-young who is still trying to find the vehicle that her key can open. However, the woman is cornered and climbs on top of a truck to save herself. Dex immediately enters the battlefield to save her and lures the monsters away so that she can escape. Then he too returns to the tent and everyone gets together for a strategy meeting. During the discussion, they decide that Dindin will test the missing keys on the rest of the vehicles while the other members of the group climb on the cars furthest away to attract attention. When everyone is in trouble and about to be bitten, Mr. Young appears. He's in his puffed rice truck and uses the food to make some bombs. Then the creatures get distracted and the youngsters manage to escape. Just then, the old man hides again. Seeing the man in danger, Tasuki rushes to his truck and tries to get him to the tent. However, Jung reveals that it's too late, as he's already been bitten. After risking his life several times, Dindin finally finds a vehicle that works and goes to inform the rest of the team. The problem is that the road is blocked by other cars and there is no free route to escape. So Hong-chul and Na-rae come up with the idea of using a forklift to move the vehicles and clear the way for the truck to pass. However, when the couple are moving the first vehicle, the zombies manage to catch up with them and the presenter pushes the woman on top of the monsters in order to save himself. Seeing Na-rae in danger, Kwachu and Tasuki risk their lives to rescue her and the doctor ends up being bitten on the arm. Both he and Na-rae have been contaminated and are liable to transform at any moment. Since they have already been infected, they decide to take another risk to protect their group and return to the forklift on the condition that they will be taken away with the rest of the team. To everyone's surprise, the zombies don't attack Kwachu and Na-rae and the pair are able to move freely among the monsters. While they move the vehicles, Dindin and Tasuki run to the truck. Before going to the vehicle, Dex ties the arms of his infected friends and gags their mouths so that the rest of the group won't be in danger if they transform. Then they all run to the back of the truck and Dindin uses the vehicle's reversing camera to see the path that leads them out of the parking lot. The next morning, the 8 survivors are still on the road and Dindin plans to drive as far away from Seoul as possible. The radio reports that the villages near the city have already been infected and thousands of people have been eliminated in the last 2 days. Kwachu and Na-rae were bitten a few hours ago and are already showing slight physical changes. Their friends notice that some veins have started to pop out of their faces, but the pair remain conscious. After several hours on the road, the group is starving and has to share the few supplies they've managed to collect from the supermarket. When they reach a certain point on the road, they come across an accident and go to check if the drivers are all right. However, the woman who was in the convertible has already transformed and, luckily, she is trapped by the security system. Searching the back of the truck, the survivors find several boxes of supplies and manage to refuel their truck. Just then, 2 new zombies appear and the group splits up. Na-Rae and Dr. Kwachu get into the truck to clear the road so that their friends can pass. The group then drives for a few more hours until they reach a small town. There, they meet other survivors and are welcomed by the mayor. The man doesn't seem to know about the zombie attack that has taken place in Seoul in recent days and decides to give shelter to outsiders. After introducing the visitors to the village, Lee takes them to a restaurant and allows them to eat whatever they want. That night, after eating and drinking a few liters of sake, the survivors are invited to spend the night in the town hall so that they can continue their journey the next morning. However, in the middle of the night, some locals invade the place and bind the arms and legs of the outsiders. As they are under the influence of alcohol, none of them wake up during the raid and don't even notice when Hong-chul and Patricia are taken away. Contrary to what the mayor had said, the town was also infected and his mother was one of the victims who turned into a zombie. Since then, Lee has attracted strangers passing through the village and used their bodies to feed her. A few minutes later, Dindin wakes up and realizes that his arms and legs are tied up. Frightened, he wakes up the rest of the group and notices that 2 of his friends have disappeared. After getting loose, they shout for help from Na-Rae and Kwachu, who are sleeping in the other room. Since they have been infected, the 2 have decided to sleep in a secluded place to ensure that no one gets hurt if they transform during the night. Hearing the screams, the pair get up and realize that they are looking more and more like zombies. Their faces look pale and veins are protruding from their skin, and they are so stiff that they find it difficult to move. Even so, they strive to free their companions and help them find a slab of wood that can be used to break down the door. Meanwhile, Hong-chul and Patricia try to escape unharmed from the old zombie's lair. They're tied to the ceiling, but the old woman can't reach them as she's also tied up. The couple manages to get free and Patricia escapes through a small window behind the monster. Hong-chul then uses a basket to cover the creature's head and also manages to escape. After fleeing the town hall, the group walks through the city towards their vehicles. But on the way, they have to hide to avoid being caught again. The team then arrives at a factory and decides to take shelter there until dawn. However, they soon discover that the place is overrun with zombies, who have been chained and caged by the mayor. Seeing Lee and his men arriving at the scene, the group hides and discovers that the mayor was bitten by his own mother that night. Suddenly, Lee hears a noise coming from upstairs and orders his henchmen to search the place. At that moment, the outsiders hide, but Tsuki ends up being found. The young woman is then trapped inside a cage and surrounded by zombies. When the mayor leaves, everyone comes together to think of a strategy to rescue her. Suddenly, Hong-chul and Patricia appear and join the rest of the group. The first stage of the plan consists of stealing the key to the cage. Then, while Tsuki attracts the attention of the zombies, Dindin manages to complete the mission. Jonathan then covers his body in zombie blood to try and go unnoticed when he goes to give Tsuki the key. The strategy works for a few seconds, but after giving the girl the key, Jonathan is attacked and knocked down. At this point, the creatures gang up on him and start biting him, but Dex manages to pull him to safety. Concerned about the YouTuber's health, his friends help him up and leave him to rest while the rest of the team thinks of a way to get Tsuki out of the cage safely. To prevent her friend from being attacked by zombies, Dindin suggests that they use the pulley attached to the ceiling to take her up to the second floor. Just as they were about to start the final mission, Na-Rae and Kwachu appeared. As they were having trouble walking, the pair had fallen behind, but now the whole team was together. At that moment, the 3 infected go down the stairs to keep the zombies away and allow Tsuki to stay protected inside the shield. Suddenly, however, Lee and his men appear and Dex goes down among the zombies to save the girl. Just when everyone thought he was going to be bitten, the soldier starts climbing the rope and manages to get back up to the second floor. Just then, a new survivor appears and breaks into the factory with his truck. The man then saves the group from the mayor's hands and takes them all to the hideout he has built in the mountains. Now that everyone is safe, Kim introduces himself as a journalist and tells us that he has gone undercover to the city to investigate a new disease that has appeared there. A few days after settling there, he discovered that the disease actually turned people into zombies. At this point, the group discovers that the infection started in that village and had been covered up by the mayor for all this time. Noticing that Jonathan is in a serious condition, Kim ties a harmonica to his mouth. That way, the young man can communicate and won't be able to bite anyone when he transforms. After that, Jonathan is locked in a room while the rest of the team trains some zombie fighting techniques. During training, 2 zombies appear and fall into Kim's trap. One of them has his head ripped off and the other is captured. The journalist then takes his prey into the bathroom, where several other zombies are gathered. Seeing this bizarre scene, Na-rae and Kwachu are terrified, imagining that they could be the next to be caged. However, Kim explains that he is keeping all those creatures there in the hope that there will be a cure and they can become human again one day. That afternoon, the man takes his guests for a target practice session. The aim is to use some improvised cannons to shoot at the mannequins. Instead of bullets, they use potatoes as ammunition and learn a new and very effective method for eliminating zombies. Meanwhile, Jonathan remains isolated in his room and records a vlog with his last words as he loses all his humanity. After the target practice, the survivors are taken to a shed where Kim has built a zombie arena. This way, they can prepare for hand-to-hand combat with the monsters. The first to enter the ring is Si-young. Thanks to her boxing skills, she knocks the monster down and immobilizes it with ease. Din-din then goes to try his luck, but fails to defeat his enemy. Dex enters the arena and shows his partner how to defeat a zombie with his bare hands. At the end of the training, the group returns to the shelter and discovers that Kwachu and Na-rae have already started preparing dinner. Suddenly, the journalist appears with a pot full of worms and mixes the worms into the noodles, as they are rich in nutrients. To make the soup even richer, Kim adds maggots and insects to the pot and Tasuki is shocked, having never eaten anything so disgusting before. While they are eating, the group notices that Jonathan is agitated and Patricia goes to check that her brother is all right. As she approaches, the woman realizes that something is wrong with him and calls Dr. Kwachu to examine him. Just then, the doctor notices that Jonathan has stopped breathing and everyone gathers around the bed to say goodbye to him. Then, unexpectedly, the young man starts to struggle and tries to attack his friends, but luckily he's chained to the bed and can't get up. When she sees her brother in that state, Patricia can't hold back her tears and breaks down in despair. In shock, the group begins to plan their next steps and decide to go their separate ways without Jonathan. Although it's painful to leave a friend behind, they know it's the best choice to make. Then, after getting the coordinates of a boat that will take them to safety from the journalist, the 8 survivors head for the pier. The problem is that they have arrived too early and need to find a shelter to wait for the ship. As they are close to an amusement park, the team decides to hide in a Ferris wheel, where they can rest safely. However, what no one imagined is that the park is also a haven for the undead and several humans are trying to hide in the rides to avoid being attacked. Seeing those people in trouble, the group is touched and decides to help them escape. So the whole team splits up into pairs to rescue the survivors. As there is an electric current running through the ground, Hong-chul and Patricia cannot walk on it to look for the girl who is stuck in the middle of the track. So they hitch a ride on the carts and Hong-chul pulls the girl into his vehicle while Patricia distracts the monsters. In just a few minutes, they manage to complete their mission and rescue the young girl. Meanwhile, Din-din and Tasuki save the 2 sisters who were in the Tagada. However, one of them has asthma and has forgotten her inhaler in the toy. So Tasuki goes to Dr. Kwachu for help. As there is no alternative treatment for the disease, the doctor and the 2 young people decide to return to the Tagada. Are surprised by the arrival of He-kwan and other zombies. At this point, the operator turns on the toy to give the couple a chance to get rid of the monsters. Then, when they find the inhaler, the operator stops the ride so that they can run away. On the other side of the park, Si-young and Dex use the potato cannon to shoot down 3 zombies that are surrounding a survivor on the carousel. After knocking them out, the former boxer celebrates her victory and Isu runs to fetch his girlfriend. While the rest of the group work hard on their missions, Na-rae and Kwachu round up the zombies and guide them to the boat. This way, the creatures are trapped in the toy and cannot attack survivors who have not been contaminated. A few minutes later, everyone reconvenes at the Ferris wheel and walks to the control booth. When they get there, they meet the operator and the man tells them that once they have entered the Ferris wheel, they won't be able to leave unless someone opens the door from the outside. With the promise that he will also be able to get on the boat in 3 hours' time, the operator agrees to stay in the control cabin and open it when the boat is about to arrive at the pier. So the group splits into pairs again to enter the cabins. It's been almost 48 hours since Na-rae and Kwachu were contaminated and they are about to transform. Despite this, the group celebrates having made it to the ocean and everyone is convinced that they will soon be safe. However, they are faced with a new problem. The operator has just been attacked by zombies and, if he perishes, there will be no one to open the door to the cabins. Luckily, the employee manages to open Na-rae and Kwachu's cabin and they go to the control room. Now, the pair will have to free their friends in a few hours' time. At this point, Na-rae realizes that she doesn't have long to live and becomes furious when she remembers that Hong-chul is to blame for her being bitten. Suddenly, everything falls silent and the group begins to suspect that their semi-zombie friends are eliminated. 2 hours later, they wake up and can hardly see anymore. Nevertheless, Na-rae finds out which cabin Hong-chul is in and goes in to keep him company. His aim is to trap her until she turns into a zombie. When this happens, the woman will attack anyone in front of her and the presenter will be her first victim. That way, she will get her long-awaited revenge. While the two are trapped in the cabin, Kwachu helps all the other survivors to free themselves and allows them all to survive to catch the boat. Minutes later, the group arrives at the pier and finds a boat, but the captain refuses to give them a lift. So Dex throws a hook into the boat and everyone uses a makeshift dinghy to get to the other side. Dindin is the first to cross and reaches the boat. Soon after, Dex goes after him and helps Tasuki up as she crosses. Patricia then sits on the buoy and manages to reach the boat, but she can't get up on deck. Just then, Dex comes down to help her and they both fall through the platform. Si-young has to pull them back up so they can think of a new strategy. The trio must hurry, because a horde of zombies is on the other side of the gate trying to catch up with them. Hearing movement outside his boat, the captain gets up and goes to check what's going on. He then discovers that there are 2 intruders inside and loosens the rope so that the trio can't get on board. Desperate, Dindin and Tasuki try to convince the old man to come back and rescue them, but the fisherman doesn't believe in the existence of zombies, having spent the last week at sea, and refuses to give the strangers a lift. Stuck in the middle of the ocean, Dex has to jump into the freezing water and push the platform back to the dock. Minutes later, the zombies manage to open the gate and walk towards the survivors. But suddenly a bus appears and knocks down the monsters. Then the door of the vehicle opens and the trio get in. At this point, they discover that this is the boat that the journalist said would rescue them. After entering the water, the bus starts to float and takes all the passengers away. When they discover that this isn't the boat Kim was referring to, Dindin and Tasuki get worried. But now they have nowhere else to go and regret the fact that they have been separated from their friends. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more